Hello, Hollywood Critics Association watchers. Welcome to the first after show for the after party that is going on from Apple TV. We're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of this incredibly interesting, funny murder mystery that kind of came out of nowhere, starring a bevy of fantastic actors and actresses having a little fun. Over a series trying to solve a mystery. So much has been happening now with mysteries kind of coming back. We've even seen some of this Agatha Christie stuff with Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express. Well, here's one from Lord and Miller. And you know, Lord and Miller almost always knock it out of the park. So we're going to talk about the first 3 episodes here on this after show. Very excited to be doing this with these 2 wonderful people. I am John Rocha. I'm a writer, producer, and host on the Outlaw Nation, my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. You can find me at The Rocha Says wherever you look for Rochas. We are also joined by these 2 wonderful people. Jana, please tell them where they can find you and what you got.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me and us together. My name is Jana Nagase. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, my own website, Jana on Camera. And I also have a YouTube channel called Jana on Camera, and I also write for the Brazilian newspaper here in the U.S.
Wow.
In Portuguese.
And how long have you been doing this, Jana? I ran into you. We met through Hollywood Critics Association a couple of years ago. How long have you been doing it and kind of laying the groundwork for all the career you've been
laying the ground? Like, we feel like entertainment. I've been in this business since 2006, and
wow.
Writing for the Brazilian newspaper since 2012.
That's fantastic.
So it's quite some time.
All right. So you're dealing with someone with a lot of knowledge about these kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, speaking of knowledge, speaking of really knowledgeable, Rick Hong, you are here too. Rick Hong, talk to people about what you do and where you're from, my man.
Well, I'm a host, entertainment journalist. You guys can find me everywhere on social media at Rick Hong, which is like right here. There we go. I got to get the right way because it's mirrored. And most of my work is on HollywoodFirstLook.com, where I do interviews and for TV shows and movies and everything. So there we go. And I'm excited to be talking about this after show for the Hollywood Critics Association.
Absolutely. Rick, is there a recent piece or interview that you did that you want to highlight, let people know about to check out on your site or on your side of things?
Last week, they had the debut for Redeeming Love, which is for newbie Abigail Cowan, and Nina Dobrev from the Vampire Diaries is in there. So that's online right now. And this weekend I will be doing Moonfall with Halle Berry Wilson. So that'll be going up after this weekend for when that debuts February 4th.
Yeah, I'm seeing that on Monday. I can't wait to hold on to the edge of the movie theaters as I watch.
Oh, just wait for. We cannot talk about it, but just wait.
We're here for after party.
I'm a Roland Emmerich apologist, so I'm looking forward to it for sure. All right, well, let's jump into this thing, the after party. Once again, this is a spoiler review episode, so if you haven't seen the first 3 episodes, that's what Apple TV released today, then please do yourself a favor, pause right now, go and watch them, and then come on back. First episode, about 48 minutes. Second episode, 34 minutes. And the third episode is about 35 minutes, something like that. But the episodes are titled by the names of the characters, Aniq and Brett. And let me see if they've got the other episodes up listed. And Yasper. Those are the names of the first 3 episodes. And this is an incredible crew of actors. Tiffany Haddish playing the detective investigating this murder that it's been committed here, or we think is a murder, she thinks is a murder, of Dave Franco. His character named Xavier. He's a guy who was in high school and kind of broke. It's his high school reunion here, and he kind of broke out and established himself as a star. And don't we all kind of know somebody that we used to know way back when who's kind of blown up a little bit in their lives and certainly causing some friction at this high school reunion? We hear all the other actors here. Ben Schwartz playing Jasper, Sam Richardson, who was fantastic as Aniq, Ike Barinholtz as Brett, Alana Glazer as Chelsea, Zoe Chow, who I'm loving as Zoe in this show, Everly Carganilla as Maggie, the little girl there, Tia Sakar as Jennifer number 1, Kelvin Yu as Ned, and Jamie Demetrio as do you know my name? As Walt, and John Early, who I've been discovering as I've been binging Search Party over the last week here, as Detective Culp, and Danielle Juliette Ma as classmate number 2. So a lot of people involved in this. What an incredible crew of actors. We finished the first 3 episodes. Let's start with our overall thoughts here. Jana, what do you feel about the first 3 episodes of this show here from Lord and Miller?
I love it. I love it. I love the pace. the way that they are like putting together like the storyline. I like that they are dividing like the stories by character,
Mhm.
and then we can see the point of view of which one, that because they are doing a confession
Right.
to Tiffany's Haddish character. And I really enjoy. I think everybody's so beautiful, like so well prepared to play those roles. I loved it. I
Yeah.
think it's love, and I love Ben, so I'm very I love. So you now you know that I love episode 3. So
Yeah, Rick Hong. I mean, there's so much here, Rick, to enjoy and kind of have fun with these actors. And Rick, you know, we've covered so much stuff. All of us have covered so much stuff. We know when you bring together a bunch of actors, it can really fall apart. I'm looking at the house. You know, these things that you bring on a bunch of your friends, sometimes it doesn't really work out. This looks so much more well thought out, well laid out, and I'm really enjoying the first 3 episodes. What did you think about the first 3?
You know, it's fun. It's interesting because, like, you know, you talked about it: Death on the Nile,
Yeah.
Murder on the Orient Express. Don't forget about Knives Out.
Oh yes,
Another, like, mystery who done it. So it's kind of genius to say, like, let's do this as a series. Let's not make it like an hour long. You know, let's make it a little bit shorter than an hour. And the pilot, you know, you need to establish a lot. Like, as you were just rambling off, you got to like establish a lot of characters and the story. So the pilot's a little bit longer, but then after that, each episode goes into 30 minutes, broken into each character and their perspectives, Rashomon style. So it's a simple idea, but a genius idea. And then you add all these like comedic actors, and like you said, it's like sometimes you can do that and it won't work. Here, it completely works for each character. And like you're invested to sit there and say, God, like, who's this other character? What are they about? You know, are they the person that did it? What's their motivation?
Yeah, and this one's directed by Christopher Miller. He did the first 3 episodes here, and then we've got Anthony King involved in this, Jack Dolgan, Cassia Miller, Bridger Weiniger, Nicole Delaney, Phil Lord, of course, writing 1 episode, and Rachel H. Smith. So, you know, you go into something like this. Rick pointed out something really well with Knives Out. That was also an incredible film that brought together a bunch of actors you could argue in their prime here or about to burst into their prime, as Ana de Armas did, and have them move around this space. And in essence, you're doing the same thing here. Everything is pretty much set at Xavier's house at the after party from the high school reunion. We do get some of the high school reunion stuff, but a lot of the drama here is being set out in this house. What did you think about the 2 settings here, Jana, in terms of influencing the drama and influencing the storylines here as they were going along? And when's the last time you went to a high school reunion? Did you have any drama?
oh my God, I went to my high school reunion like 10 years ago, I think. Yes. 10 years ago. They try to keep us consistent with the reunions, but some of them I couldn't go. So I was like, no, I can't go. But it's funny. It's fun. I love the house. Oh my God, I want to live in that house. It was a beautiful house. I think it was a kind of especially the house that have a lot of rooms. And I think, and the school too. If you think about it, there is a lot of rooms that they can go around. And I think it was a really good choice to have a house and the school as a. I know that the school is still like on the just showing some pieces of it, but I love it.
Yeah, throughout, Rick, I mean, we get to the bleachers in some of the sequences. We get inside the actual high school. We see the way they've lined out people's pictures as they're walking through almost like a pseudo red carpet that they're walking down.
Yeah,
going
the bathroom. There's the scene in the bathroom.
And then we get to the actual house, and the house is so brilliantly laid out, as Jana said. And what did you think about the settings for these 2 locations as we're watching these first 3 stories?
So I could be wrong, but you know, Phil and Chris have a deal at Sony. So I believe that the school is actually the Sony lot, probably at nighttime.
Yeah, me too. I thought that
at nighttime, you know, just like the walkways, you know, like because the Sony lot doubles as a lot of schools. Like if you watch the Goldbergs, it's the school.
Oh,
you know, the house, I have no idea. I can find out about the house, but it's cool because of the 2 locations. When you have the school, that's the backstory. That's the back part of it. And meanwhile, the house is the thing that propels the story forward.
Yeah, I love that too. I mean, that's the thing. And you're going into each of the rooms, you're getting a recording studio, you're getting that bathroom, you're getting all that stuff that goes on. And then you get the balcony with that weird X and the shrimp situation is a big deal as well. And then but we've got so much going on here. Let's jump into the first episode here. This one is named after Aniq, which is Sam Richardson's character. Sam Richardson, I mean, discovering him in Veep and then seeing him in, was it the Detroiters? And then seeing him kind of slide into this as well. Just a very fun actor and getting to, in essence, almost lead this thing in the first episode, talking about his relationship with Zoe, seeing his relationship with Yasper, his what he thinks is a competition with Xavier for Zoe's hand. What did you think about the first episode, Rick, in terms of introducing this character and his connections with everybody leading up to the death of Dave Franco?
Well, it's genius that you do it in a high school reunion type of atmosphere because Aniq's motivation is just like, wow, you know, I had this what if scenario. I had this what if scenario and fate played out, but now maybe I'm getting a second chance at this what if scenario. So we get to kind of understand, like, you know, like he's excited. He's excited. He's a little nervous. You know, is it going to be the same? You know, like, and meanwhile, you know, Zoe has already reached out to him saying, you know, hey, you can, so like, he already knows. It's like, oh, wow, he's getting excited. You know, I know for some people, I went back to my high school, my 10 year. Yeah. And I remember going back to it and I was a little 50-50. Like I had a good time in high school, but I was a little 50-50. You know, did I want to go back? Did I not want to go back? And I had a good time at mine, but I know plenty of people that just did not want to revisit the high school experience. So Aniq here, you know, it's like, he's excited because it's revisiting that, gosh, you know, can I get that second chance?
Yeah. And everything, and Jana, everything is told through his point of view. And he clearly is a guy who's pretty hard on himself because everyone else's stories, or at least the next two stories, are told from cool guy perspective. His is told from a stuttering, nervous, awkward guy who's really trying to prove himself, constantly questioning himself, questioning his connection with Zoe. How much did you think that this was the right episode to start off with? Did you enjoy it? And his journey.
Yes, I enjoy it because I think people can relate because some of the there is a lot of issues that we handle in high school that sometimes we take from to the life, and then I think he's trying to solve that, I don't know, that backstory with Zoe that he couldn't do anything back then, but now she's open up to him. So I think that's why it was a good start. Start with him, and I like it. I like the way that they did.
And I mean, the truth too is that with all those characters, like you need someone to root for. Kind of. There's got to be like that one person, just a little bit to root for. And at least you understand the motivation of him wanting, because everybody wants that. Everybody goes through the what if scenario. Whether it was like, you know, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or if it was a career move that you did, or, you know, when you were younger, picking some sport that you played. You know, I picked up the guitar, I didn't play the piano. Everybody goes through that. So you kind of need like the one character to kind of root for. Otherwise, it's like the story doesn't quite work as well.
Yeah. And certainly putting the stuff on his face right off the bat, seeing that all across his face. Yeah, nerd. It makes him even more of a relatable character to connect to. That's a great point. Yeah, you go back, and sometimes you go back, as we see here, to confront your bullies. Sometimes you go back to kind of see, like, oh, did I do a better job? Have I lived a better life? You know, and this is a satisfying situation. But we know in high school reunions, there's also drama. A lot of stuff happens, and no matter what you've established in your own life, sometimes when you go back to a high school reunion, you kind of fall back into the patterns of people who are submissive or dominant, depending on the relationship, and then all of a sudden drama pops off. And certainly, what a bunch of drama here. And I'll go to you, Jana, on this. I mean, we get Aniq and Jasper. Certainly, we established their relationship early. Him and Ben Schwartz. What a 1-2 combination that works so well. But we also get Tiffany Haddish connecting with John Early. Those two as the detectives coming in. And what did you think about Tiffany Haddish here coming in as the lead detective, Jana? And she clearly shouldn't be doing this. There's this backstory that we don't know much about, but the captain clearly told her, just take statements. We got this kick-ass detective coming in the morning who's going to solve this case. So what do you think is going on here? And do you like her and her chemistry with John Early?
I like her. I am very like I like her the way that she's handling. I don't know about the chemistry between both of them. I'm
Okay.
still debating on that. I think I need to watch a little bit more to see it. But I like her the way she's very decisive, and then she's lying to him, and then she's like the way it's kind of a weird because she's why she wants to prove. I don't know what happened, like you
Yeah.
said. I don't We don't know what happened in the past or why she's doing that to prove to this next detective that is coming in the morning.
Right.
I don't know. We need to watch and see what else, but I think she's trying to solve. And then there is some the popcorn when she grabbed the popcorn. Oh, let's start talking the little action figures. I don't know. It's like I
Yeah,
can't
the cat.
recall
Yeah.
what is the little animal, but it was like it was funny. But she has her own personality on that,
Yeah.
and but she wants to prove something to someone, the
Right.
character. But I like her on the character.
Yeah, what do you think's going on here with her, Rick? First of all, how do you like her in the role, and what do you think is going on with her as we're watching her through this first episode, and certainly into the second and third episodes as well?
Her casting is fun because because Tiffany Haddish is like, to me, she's an alpha.
Mm-hmm.
She's an alpha, but she's a dysfunctional alpha.
Yeah.
She's not like a straight
That's
power
right.
alpha that is like assured in everything that walks into her, whatever. But she's an alpha. You take notice. Tiffany Haddish comes into something, you take notice her delivery and everything she does, and then but she's dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
There's that's what makes her comedy so genius. And so here it's almost I'm not sure if I got this right, but maybe it's like a little bit of like Inspector Clouseau, like a little clumsy, but that's the person, that's the lead.
Yeah.
And then what I also like is the fact that you have John early, and John, just like you, luckily for me, I was able to binge, I think like seasons 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like I binged like 75% of the Search Party. And then I was able to finish the series when it dropped recently.
Right.
And seeing him, and if you see him in Search Party, he's like always like a suspect in that show, along with that cast. But here, now he's the detective. So it's fun to see. But I understand too, like if you don't know John Early's like earlier work, it might be like John, it's like it might be like a little like I'm not sure yet of the dynamic of the two, but it's only because of Search Party, and I'm familiar with him from that is why I like seeing him as the detective, and almost more like the assured detective than he's Detective Culp, the more assured detective than Tiffany as Detective Danner.
Yeah. Certainly, I think that's why the captain.
It's not that I don't like him. It's not that I don't like it. I think just the chemistry. I'm still debating if they are good together. Sorry, John.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think you make a great point, Rick. I mean, I think that's for sure. Like, because when I first started watching Search Party, the first season, I wasn't the biggest fan of him. And then going into the second season, I really started to like him. And in that third season, I just was 100% loving his acting and his portrayal. And you get to see what he's bringing to this role as it fleshes out a little bit more, and his backstory, which I won't spoil for anybody, but his real name and his backstory is just incredible when that moment happens. So seeing him you're right, kind of take on the detective role here is very interesting. And clearly, as we get to the end of or near the end of the episode 3, they actually have a genuine care for each other, it seems like. But there's just something here that she wants to prove. Tiffany Haddish's character, Detective Danner, wants to prove for whatever reason. So, and I'm wondering who that detective is that's going to show up. Rather. I wonder who that detective is. Right. I hope it's Daniel Craig. That would
big boss.
That just blew my mind. Let's deal. And so definitely the first episode lays the groundwork. We see the relationships. We see that Aniq certainly has a very deep crush for Zoe, and in his mind, because remember, we're getting these stories from these people's points of view. In his mind, he was establishing a really strong connection with Zoe, and they were about to kiss on the bleachers. And then, boom, the daughter shows up, and this becomes a whole thing. So he is constantly in a state of unrequited love. Yep. What do you say, Rick?
What's interesting too is the one thing that as I rewatched, because at first glance, because in those murder mysteries, you always kind of need to go back and watch to pick up all the things, I yet have still to do that with Knives Out, and I should. And I probably already forgot all the things that I remember from when I watched it the first time around. But with this, the one thing that I did notice, the oddball character is Indigo.
Yes.
And I'm not familiar with that actress too. I had to go look her up.
Yeah, Genevieve
She's an
Angleson.
oddball character,
Yeah.
and like her sequences are in black and white. But as I rewatched, I noticed that like hers is kind of like matter of fact. There is no kind of like real big interpretation of like how she viewed it. It was just from an observational of like, here's a card, here's this, here's that. Here's that. So like she kind of like lays down a different type of foundation of just like, here are just the practical facts of what I saw in the night, but not like from like their perspective of like how it's maybe either overblown or underwhelmed or like someone's personality being. And when we get to episode 3, I'll expand on what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny what Lord Miller do here with their different genres within each of these episodes that they're playing around in. And certainly she goes into the independent film, foreign film, black and white approach to telling everything that happens. And she's so mysterious, sliding in and out. I mean, she pops up in the weirdest places. It's like when Aniq turns around and goes, "Oh no," she goes, "Oh no," and then slides on out.
Yeah.
So,
That's funny. I like it. She's beautiful. I think she's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Genevieve Angleson. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the second episode here in this series, in this season for the after party. I think this is the one that focuses on Brett. And I read Ike Barinholtz's tweet about his character, and I'd hate to disagree with an actor talking about their own character, but he said he's like some combination of Steven Seagal and some other kick-ass action hero. And what I really see is the redhead kid from American Pie and the dude from Die Hard who gets killed by Alan Rickman after he makes the call to Bruce Willis. But he tries to come off in this whole episode, Jana, as if he's a badass, as he's like an action hero, kind of almost like a pseudo Mark Wahlberg. He looks a little bit like he could be a right?
Yeah.
And so having him go through, and everything is through his perspective that Zoe, he was trying to win back Zoe, and he's trying to kind of be on top of things and make sure that Xavier doesn't steal Zoe away from him. We have the sequence where they're competing by peeing in the bathroom in the urinal, literally a blank measuring contest there as they're peeing in the bathroom. And then all the sequences here where he's like, I'm going to get the koala. I'm doing these action sequences and I'm going to do all this kind of stuff. He beats up the security guard, gets into the house. Zoe eventually sees him. He has to go and apologize to Zoe. Then supposedly, as he's telling Detective Dana this, he has this moment where he realizes his aggressive behavior towards Xavier is not the way, comes in, apologizes to Zoe after he kind of moves away from Xavier, goes back, takes care of Maggie, then comes back in. That's how he explains why he's been going in and out or checking his keys and whatever. So what do you think about this episode? Did you like Ike Barinholtz's interpretation of the character and what he's doing as he's portraying his badassery throughout this episode?
Yeah. I like it, but I agree with you. It's not Steven Seagal over there. nothing to do with that. I think he's great on performing the character Brent, but at the same time, I was like, he's not convincing. But there's something deep inside between him and Eugene Javier.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
right?
Eugene, yes.
Yes, that is still like we need to find out. I don't know if we are going to find out what happened in the past with both of them, but that scene that they are like trying to talk about it, I thought that it was like, oh my God, they're gonna kiss. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. There's something unsolved there between them, like something like that. But I like it. And the little girl, oh my God. The actors that play Maggie, oh my God, she's so sweet, and that helps a lot with the dynamic.
Hit it, Daddy. Yeah, I mean she's so good in their sequences there throughout.
Having the time of her life.
Yeah, at least in his mind, because remember, this is all through his mind. She's probably freaking out as a 7-year-old going through this sequence. So what do you think of this episode here as a way to kind of introduce us? Did you think chronologically it was correct, Rick, to go with Brett for the second episode to kind of give us his backstory?
I don't know. Maybe you wanted Zoe, but at the same time, it's good to like push her back some so that people can kind of save her to like really see what her interpretation is. So like basically you're kind of like pushing forward all her suitors.
Yes, right.
You've got Aniq. So Anik is like our kind of like, for now, our protagonist So like then you need the antagonist. And so it kind of makes sense to have Brett in there as the antagonist. And John, you're kind of right. You know, the Seagal stuff, this and that or whatever. Like Ike always does a great job of, Ike Barinholtz does a great job of playing these over the top characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you could easily see him as the poor man's Mark Wahlberg stunt double. You know, like that's kind of how that works. And what was interesting about this episode too is, and then you're setting up the dynamic of, you know, like, yeah, it's like Brett was the bully. He was the bully in high school. So you know that from Aniq's perspective. And then initially, like you see Xavier and like, he's the guy that like became the superstar come in. But then you see, it's like, he's just like, oh, hey, Eugene. So it's just like, he's not even acknowledging that this guy became somebody. And then you already start seeing the dynamic of like, oh yeah, Brett not only sucked to Aniq, not only going through a divorce with Zoe, but he also sucked towards Xavier. And the urinal scene's funny. If you're a guy, Jana, I mean, like, if you're a guy, like, if you have that many urinals in a room, no guy stands next to another guy at the urinal. It's always at least, there's always, it's like a movie theater right now. If you're not hanging out with that person, then there's always at least one seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So like the fact that the two of them are like side by side,
I got it.
As well. If you're a guy, you really understand that.
Yeah, you get that because obviously he's trying to intimidate him by standing next to him, and because he's already taller than him, and then using his name Eugene instead of his name that he's using now, Xavier, and then of course competing with how he can change his streams, which is insane. I've never seen anything like this since Tom Hanks in League of Their Own. I haven't seen a scene like that. So just seeing the back and forth here is really funny between the both of them. And clearly there's unresolved issues on Xavier's side with quite a few people, and he is angling for Zoe. And certainly in the Aniq story, it seems that it's happening and he's just doing it and he doesn't even register Aniq. Here, according to Brett, it seems like he's making a very active decision to go after something of Brett's as a payback for high school, for whatever he was treated like in high school. So yeah, interesting. Do you agree as well, Jana, what Rick said? Like, it's good to move Zoe back a little bit, see all the suitors, because then eventually we're going to get her point of view at some point, I imagine, about all these what these guys claim happened in their interactions. A little bit of the last duel, as you said, Rashomon situation here.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that the third episode would be her.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, Jasper? I was like, but I agree. I would like to get her point of view before like anyone else. And Aniq and Brett, because they are connected, and then like with her, and then her. But now, we're gonna get her like, I don't know, next week or the following week. We need to wait and see. Maybe she's hiding something from us.
I don't always agree with IMDb, because sometimes they move names of episodes into different orders. Or so next week is supposed to be Chelsea's point of view, which is Ilana Glazer, who's been kind of portrayed in the first 3 episodes as the kind of unstable, crazy drinking girl, and then episode 5 is high school. We don't get Zoe's until episode 6. So clearly they want to establish this world very, very firmly, and everybody's point of view of what happened, and before we get Zoe's point of view, which is a little bit of a hint for sure. So we shall see if that ends up, we shall see what we get with that Zoe episode, because unlike you two, I have not watched ahead yet. So I don't know what's coming in. I just wanted to
me neither. I didn't. Just the 3 episodes, and that's it.
Well, but I mean, but that's the thing about, like the way that this dropped, and like that's kind of like the way things are now too, is that like for like I don't have the end, but any episode that I had beforehand, it's just like I had to keep watching. I got reeled into the mystery. That's why I was like, I want to do this after show because this show is so good.
Yeah.
But hey, there's no spoilers for me, so don't worry.
And we should give a shout out to Heather and Mr. Shapiro, who keep popping up in the random situations here.
Yes.
And I wonder how that's going to play itself out as we keep touching base on it in every sequence. So anything else to say about this second episode with Brett? I mean, this is so well directed by Lord Miller by Anthony King, directed this episode. He did a great job with showing this kind of pseudo Fast and the Furious one-man Cobra guy who's handling these. I mean, even the fight sequence with the security guy was done really well and out of no. And none of this is true. Like none of this is true at all. Even his come to Jesus moment at the end, which he covers by saying that he pooped himself. That can't possibly be true. So it's fascinating to watch this. Do you think, though, and we'll get into the next episode here in just a second, but do you think that these fantastical retellings are taking you out of the show in any way, shape, or form? Or do you feel like this just helps you enjoy it, but you are picking out some of the more serious or kernels of truth to kind of lead you to solving the mystery? What do you guys think about that? Rick, I'll go to you first on this.
Well, for me, like I think it only adds. Okay. It only adds, and like that's the one thing I do wonder too is like how much gets ad-libbed for each character to say like, okay, go here, go there, versus like what's in the script. But I only feel like it adds more to like their character and maybe even like the actor's strengths in terms of who they really are as people. Sometimes to say like, this is what I know that you're really, really good at. So let's keep going that way because we're still going to reel it back with the main story anyways. So do what your thing is because it's from your perspective, your like whatever. So, who knows? Like, I mean, like a unicorn could have flown in someone in one of the episodes that someone claims that happened. And, because it's from their perspective.
Right. No spoilers. And it certainly we get a little bit more with the I mean, let's take a moment for this, Jana. What do you think about the Xavier stuff and how we're getting the Hall & Oates biopic is hilarious. The Hungry Hippos, a shot. It seems like a little bit of a shot at the Jumanji stuff. Like, what did you think about this whole kind of backstory for him and how he's kind of become this star and the song X marks the G spot, which I think is fantastic.
Fantastic. I think it was genius. That's why I think it's so Lord and Miller, because they have some all these characters, they always give some like backstory for them. And then that's why I think it's genius the way that they did. And they have one of the scenes, I think is on the music video. It's Channing Tatum there. I was like, oh my God. What is that? And then like with the weeks and everything, I think it's great the way that they put together, and this is so specific. So with them, you know what I mean? Like the way that they write, the way that they create these background stories, I think it was genius, and that's why I think they use his house as another set. You know what I mean? Because there you can see all this on the background.
Yeah, what do you think about all the backstory with him and all the music and the movies, Rick, that they do with Xavier? I mean, it's incredible when these people who are comedians or who write comedic stuff can actually create some, not bad music and not bad. I mean, we saw this with Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Who knew they could do Book of Mormon?
Right.
Even when you saw the South Park movie, which was in essence a Les Miserables kind of takeoff. Seeing them be able to do that into an actual fully successful Broadway musical, that's a hell of a jump. And seeing what Lonely Planet has done, and then you see what Lord Miller and the people involved in this have done with some of the stuff with Xavier, it's pretty incredible. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, okay, so it's interesting. So you're talking about the Hall & Oates backstory, and then there's Hungry Hippos, and I think what's happening right now is that, I don't think Channing Tatum has much of a career. His career is dying. Joking. so it's fun to see that like they gave a throwback to, hey, we used Channing in 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. It's like, let's bring him in to like really quick. It's like a fun thing. It's like Channing Tatum, what are you doing here? It's like when Matt Damon pops into things and you're like, Matt Damon. And then on the other side of it, you've got the Hungry Hippos and you got Will Forte. They did Last Man on Earth. And Will Forte now is MacGruber on the TV series. Right. So, another guy that's not working, unfortunately. So they had to throw him the phone, right? But so it's cool to just kind of like, it didn't need to necessarily be in there. Right. But it's awesome that they said, let's pick Hall & Oates. Because like, who would think like, oh, this Hall & Oates, like, and then they do the little like lyrics from Maneater. Oh, wait, brilliant. You got something there. And then the Hungry Hippos, like John, like you said, is kind of like the throwback to Jumanji, making fun of Jumanji and everything. And that, and even for the character of Xavier, that seems right. Usually, mostly people become big in one area. So then they want to branch out into acting, or if they're an actor, they want to branch out into music a little bit. So it makes sense for the progression of the Xavier character.
Yeah, absolutely. End up in Hungry Hippos, and does the line for Maggie which ends up irritating Brett there when she loves it. So that's another shot that he takes at Brett's expense. All right, let's move on to episode 3. This is Jana's favorite episode, bar none, clearly, because she said she's a huge Ben Schwartz fan. This was directed by Christopher Miller. This focuses on his character, Yasper. This one is where what I just said goes even to the next level. The rap he does here is fantastic. The 2 songs he does here are great. And we get a little more of the backstory with him. I like Ben Schwartz so much since Parks and Rec and John Ralphio and all of that. Loving that he's the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. He had that show with Don Cheadle. I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking with Kristen Bell. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I thought he was great in that as well. And so seeing him slide into this character, this is a character that has shades of those characters that he's played before, but he kind of put them all together in one. What did you think about this episode here as we went along with his story and heard about him like being part of the ska band with Xavier, wanting to get him to quote bless his track, and then of course the stuff that happens at the end with him and Anik, him trying to help Anik. Do you believe his story of the first 3? Jana, obviously aside from the rap and the singing, do you think this is the most believable story? And did you like the musical stuff they did with him?
I love the music stuff that they did. I think was great, and I think his story is more. I believe in his story more than the other 2, especially if you compare to Brent. His story is more believable, and for all of them. And I think he did a really great job, like singing. Even when on the there was the scene on the second episode that he's singing inside the bathroom, the shower. Oh my God, his voice! I was like, this is so amazing. This is so great. And then he shows his other side. You know what I mean? Like then other side that I was like, oh my God, it's so amazing. I love it. I think it's more realistic.
Oh, really?
Rick, what did you think? I mean, we start with his name coming in with a cool car, which we commented on before, and then see his whole interaction with Aniq and with Zoe and with Xavier and all of that. And we actually get to see footage of them in that ska band that's been talked about.
And then he also, I think he also trying to prove something like to show, no, I did the system here. I did this. If you need a system, just call me, blah, blah, blah. He's trying to show that he's also, okay, I made my life. You know what I mean? I made it. I have my own stuff, you know. I think he's another one.
Well, but even for Jasper, there's a what if scenario. You know, there's a what if scenario of like, oh man, you know, it's like maybe I could have been Xavier. You know, we were in this band together, so maybe I could have been in this thing, and like in all the fantastical stuff that happens in it, the rap, and I want to say the second song might be it's like a High School Musical. I never watched High School Musical, but I was trying to figure out the genre. I was like, maybe that's like a throwback to like High School Musical. The first one's like that rap, John, like you talked about. It has like that Lonely Island vibe to it. Yeah. And then there's the third song, which is, you know, just kind of like the ballad or whatever. But a great episode. And like that's what I would tell for anybody. Like if, you know, I'm hyping up the story to people. I'm saying if you're not hooked, if 1 and 2 kind of still aren't doing it for you, go into 3. Because if you don't finish 3 not coming out, you know, 2, you know, one shot twice. If you're not doing that, then I'd say like this is not the show for you. But I don't know how you could watch episode 3 and not say I want to watch the rest of it all the way through.
Yeah. It almost has that Hamilton vibe, right? I'm not gonna miss my shot, you know. And so he's saying you get a one shot twice, which when I was listening to the lyrics, I'm like, yeah, sometimes it does come true. You do get a second shot sometimes. You got to be ready for it when it comes. So great stuff here throughout this episode of the show, and then we get to see this.
I just want to interject one thing.
Yeah, please, Rick, go ahead.
About the episode. Yeah, Anik. If you look at Anik. And like you look at his wardrobe, look at his shirt, right? Look at his shirt during the episodes where he's at the house in this specific episode. Then look at his shirt when he's at the high school because they're different shirts.
Yeah,
they're different shirts, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? So keep in mind, I'm just like saying, you know, it's like there's no spoilers or anything yet either, but I'm just like saying it's just like that was like the one main thing that I noticed because when Anik came into the show, I was like, I have a shirt like that, I like that shirt. So I kept watching every time he had it on, and then when the shirt changed, I was like, wait, what's going on here? So that's just like something subtle to pick out. Maybe that explains itself down the road or not. But I just wanted to at least like say, like, your eyes aren't fooling you if you did catch it.
Yeah, and there are certain things, certain scenes that play differently. Like, for example, in the first, the Aniq episode, Maggie runs in with a glass of the wine. When he shows up in the bread episode, she doesn't have the glass of wine at all. And Aniq is completely out of breath and can't catch his breath. And he's so out of shape in that sequence. So you see, so all different points of views. Great thing to catch there, Rick, for sure. But also we get a little bit of this mystery now. They've put together this bunch of paper in the bathroom, and they have the backwards E. What does this mean, John? I mean, to me, I thought, well, it was somebody writing lyrics for a song, maybe messing around. But could this actually be a letter that is that could indicate who the assailant is? And now he's got Aniq going person to person to write, I have or do not have diarrhea. So what do you think of this whole sequence within Yasper's story?
Yeah, I think he's gonna use his escape room expertise to find out. So I don't know. I think it's when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's weird. I agree with you. It can be a song. It can be someone writing a letter to someone. This is revenge. And I don't know. We need to find out. I hope it's a letter for revenge. I don't think it's a song.
Okay, what do you, Rick? I know you've watched ahead, but what can you say in our review here for this? What did you think about that as they brought it in, and the backwards E, and the idea of using a scatological point of view in terms of using that for the humor for this? Because you can use an E in anything. Why is it specifically diarrhea? Did you mind that? Did you like that, or did you have an issue with it?
No. I liked it because there's a couple of things. Because when you first see the thing, maybe you're thinking like it's like more than just like a song. Initially, I was thinking maybe it was a letter.
Yeah.
Sometimes because people don't now people text or whatever, but like, people used to write letters. And at first I was thinking maybe it was like this like letter of like, this is how you treated me back in the day or whatever. So I'm just like writing this letter to get this like off because it's a reunion, so you're kind of like trying to have some closure maybe. So I initially thought it was that. And this happens. I mean, this like, it adds another dimension to this thing is that it's the mystery, it's the murder mystery. So our real detectives supposedly are Tiffany and John Early, like trying to find out what happened, and us as viewers trying to find out what happened. But then here are other characters in the story that are also trying to say like, wait, but who's the killer? Right. Because we're going to sit there and like kind of like look at each other and say like, no, you did it, I did it. Like so like it adds like the other layer of like, like more people trying to figure out the mystery of like who was. At the same time, Aniq has his own motivations of like, who the hell was an asshole to me and wrote over my face?
That's for sure. And then we got him trying to get, and the three dots thing works so well. It's so funny. And he's got this, clearly we're now understanding why everyone might have a motive, right? With Aniq, it's the Xavier thing. He thinks the Xavier drew on his face and did all this kind of stuff. And there's this built-in kind of aggression towards Xavier because Xavier is kind of making the moves on Zoe in his mind, where he was planning on making the moves on Zoe. Brett's is seeing clearly Xavier is an issue with him. He's competition for Zoe as well. With Jasper, it's more about Jasper's such a great name. Is more about the idea that
it's the John Rufio thing.
Yes, John Rufio. Exactly.
Right. It's John Rufio. Let's give him the name Jasper.
Jasper is perfect. But like his is a little bit of anger that it's Xavier who went off and became famous. And even when they have their interaction, which is kind of unbelievable, that he's like, oh yeah, totally, dude. You changed my life, man. Oh no, I didn't do anything. I just told you to use your middle name. It's no big deal. That false modesty when you really want the credit for it. I love that they're laying that groundwork for it, because you're constantly going like, who is it? Because it's got to be somebody. And I hope they don't default with some other ending that isn't somebody. But yeah, Rick, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. And then like the awkwardness, like you were talking about that scene and the awkwardness at the bar where he's like, it's like that false modesty and everything else. Then all of a sudden he's just kind of like, you know what would be cool? Could you bless a track for me? And then all of a sudden you're kind of like, he's like, yeah. Okay. Then it gets really awkward because like you think that they're bonding, and then all of a sudden it just stops to a halt because here's the favor. Will you do me this favor? And it's like, oh, okay.
That's right.
Haven't we all had that? Hey,
Yeah.
hey, great to see you. Can I be your +1 for this premiere? What? I haven't seen you.
Right,
forever.
right.
All of a sudden you want this. Let's talk about these other kind of side characters for now that haven't had their own story told, but interesting stuff going on. What do you think, Jana, about Kelvin Yu as Ned? What do you think of Ned's whole perspective? You're kind of the over-aggressive frat boy approach here. You've got Walt, who's constantly trying to get people to remember his name. And you've already mentioned Indigo with Genevieve, and of course Alana Glazer's Chelsea. And I don't know what the deal is with the Jennifers, because I don't think you cast Tia Sakar, who is, by the way, the voice of Sabine in Star Wars Rebels, and not have her play a more significant part as this thing comes around. So what do you think about those characters and the way they've kind of been peppered in throughout these first 3 episodes? Who's standing out to you?
Yeah, I think they're gonna grow.
Yeah.
They're gonna evolve on the following episodes, and I'm very curious to see what is Walt is gonna play that, because why he was trying to remember his name, because back then nobody knew it, or he wasn't as popular, or he changed it. Maybe he was a little, I don't know, have more hair, or have more weight, I don't know. And I think, yes, and I agree with you, and she must have gonna play a bigger role towards the end, or on the next the following episodes, because why cast her and leave her there doing just the small stuff? No, I don't think so, and I hope they develop more.
What do you think about these characters? Which ones are standing out to you, Rick, and which ones are kind of like I'm a little suspicious? So what about all these other characters?
Well, the Walt character is really interesting in the sense that, like, I'm not even familiar with that actor. And I apologize. If he's watching, whatever, I apologize. But I think the kind of genius of his casting is because it's like he kind of fits that role of like, well, do you remember me? But it's like, no. And since you don't, that guy is very, very, very mysterious. And the fact that everybody keeps not remembering him gives him a lot of motivation in that sense. Meanwhile, it's just like, but then you have the other recognizable, actually, like the actors. Like Kelvin Yu, I recognize, and I guess because we're Asian, I know all the Asian actors that are out there. And then Tia Sakar. I mean, she's she's not wasting away. Like The Good Place, she's in Master of None, as you said, the voice of Sabine. She's not wasting away. And then same thing with that Alana Glazer's in there for something huge.
Oh yes,
she because Broad City, she's amazing. So. It's gonna be interesting to see how the rest of the order gets put out, and then how they decide to, like I said, if we've got Aniq, Brett, and Yasper at the forefront, then how they get toward you. And then John, you kind of said what the next kind of episode were, but those characters are still going to be in there, so kind of see how their stories start unraveling.
Yeah, I imagine that episode that says high school will be the one that fleshes out a little more of those characters and how they fit into this whole equation as well. And you mentioned the actor who plays Walt, Jamie Demetrio. Hope we're saying that correctly. This guy's been working a lot. He's been in the Great Miracle Workers, Fleabag, Paddington 2, Cruella, Sherlock Gnomes. He's been in a Tracy Ullman show. So a British actor who's really been establishing himself over the last kind of 7 years as a name and an actor to be seen. So shout out to him playing this character, because I got my suspicions on Walt, whether he even went to this high school, because
that's a good one.
That's a good one. I didn't know about that.
No one knows his name. And so I'm like, why does he keep asking people to remember him? What is this? Because you could easily see it as just a nerd who was constantly overlooked in high school. But there's a thing here, and he almost has that kind of serial killer look to him a little bit. So what is in the character he's portraying? So what is this point? Plus the jacket almost looks like a pseudo members only jacket. So it just kind of has this vibe to him. Who's, if it's not Walt, who stands out for you guys right now, as you're looking after the first 3 episodes, as the possible killer? Who you have in the lead right now as the possible killer of Xavier?
Aside from him.
Aside from Walt,
from Walt.
Well, and I don't even think that it's even then I wouldn't. I want to say maybe I know it's kind of cheap though. And like the rules say like you're not supposed to do this, but there still could be like I still think that like there's like another character that we haven't encountered yet.
Ooh.
Like that's what I want to believe.
Right.
Because that's what I'd like it. Because sometimes like I know it's always like the rules have to be within a certain circle, but I'd like just to be like this like outside, especially since it's Lewin and Miller, they're genius. It's like this outside force of something else, like another person that we like. Maybe it's like a groundskeeper. Groundskeeper that like, just got pissed off that he had to clean the house the next day. So just like, he's the guy that maybe could actually be the mysterious one. And, and we got left with a little bit of like, what happened to Jennifer too?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can be Jennifer. Yeah.
What do you got, Jenna? Who do you got? If it's not Walt, who do you got?
Maybe Calvin's character. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Even
Indigo, Genevieve, because she's so secretive. Like it's a little weird. Maybe it's her, or not, or maybe she's just there to distract us from the actual killer.
but at the same time, she's so subtle that it could be like, of course, subtle.
Of course,
the first person that we encountered, kind of giving the story. Of course, that she's the killer. You could be right.
Yeah,
could be. I'm looking at Jasper a little bit too. I know you love him, Jana, but I got some suspicions around Jasper.
No, John, it can't be Jasper.
Being upset can't be him. It should have been me. And maybe this is his second shot at a once in a lifetime shot by pushing him out of the way. He now gets to take over making the music. I don't know. Just something.
Oh my God. If he was very disappointed.
But you're right there though. Yeah. He has very, 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 very good motivation because he's in the audiovisual space. He's in the audiovisual space. He was already kind of doing the music or whatever. He has access.
Yeah.
He has access now to some of that stuff. So he's got a lot of motivation to like up himself within society and in himself. So like that's actually really good, John. I didn't even think about that because I loved all the music stuff so much. I was like, no, it can't be Yasper. But now that you bring it up, I'm like, there's a lot of motivation there.
Right. And also he doesn't have a card. So how did he get himself into this situation where he's the one that put in the stuff in Xavier's house? If he doesn't even have a business, he says he has a business, but he doesn't even have a card. That to me is suspicious on so many levels.
That's weird.
Yeah. Right. So
he's an audiovisual guy, so he can delete footage and do all this other stuff.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? You might be onto something actually. Now my mind's really spinning.
Because John Early, he knew John Early was going to mess up all that stuff because he probably put in a complicated system to save the footage. So when they were pushing him back to Aniq, it looks like he's trying to help, but he knows the police ain't going to let him help. So he knows just kind of pushing them, the police are going to hit the wrong buttons and delete everything. And so it's interesting to see that because he was there when they're deleting the footage. So I got some questions, but I'll tell you, my way out there choice is it's Zoe, because watching Zoe's looks in certain moments, I'm like, what is
I don't think it's her.
You don't? All right.
She's a mom, man. I don't know.
That doesn't mean anything.
The well-being. I mean, I don't know. Like, I would almost go more Brett than her, but at the same time, it's like I was telling you, it's like I want that crazy outside thing to happen because I don't want the rules. It's like break the rules and just give me something wacko about who the killer is.
I hope it's not I hope it didn't just slip off and fall himself. That would make me very upset. So it's got to be something
possible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Could be Maggie. Maggie could have snuck in and pushed him off the little girl.
She's sleeping.
That's right. Or so we think.
As far as we know, she's sleeping in the car.
Could be Mr. Shapiro. Who knows?
It was, you know what? It was the staircase. It was the owl. The owl came in and
I love
He's the ex with the shrimps.
All right. Was there anything more that we missed that we want to touch on or kind of talk about? Anything in the mystery here, or any of the clues, or anything in the portrayals that you all want to stress before we wrap up this show?
John, I just think you've done a great job, man. Like, you've done a great job with organizing.
Yes, I love it.
I
think we cover everything.
Talking about the show, just like, and I actually like the fact that normally like going forward, we're only going to be covering like the rest. And I think there's 8 total. So we'll be covering 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But I like the fact that the 3 of us got to talk about 1 through 3. Yeah. That just because we got to cover a lot and so much fun. Great job, John. Thank you.
I love it.
Jana,
no, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, let us know what you thought of the first 3 episodes of After Party down in the comments section. We appreciate it madly. Make sure you subscribe to the Hollywood Critics Association YouTube. We're doing a lot of these after shows. It's a joy to do it and get to work with people that I've never worked before and get to meet them and hear their points of views. It's been a joy selfishly on my end, but I think overall for you all watching, I hope you're getting the benefit of hearing so many different perspectives about these kinds of projects and about these films and TV shows that we're covering here on the Hollywood Critics Association. So thank you very much for watching it. Subscribe and hit that bell button so you see we're dropping everything. Jana, Rick, thanks so much. Jana, please remind us where they can find you and everything you got going on.
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Jana on Camera, my website, my YouTube channel, janaoncamera.com, and we find ourselves online. A lot of interviews in my channel too. A lot of things going on there.
Awesome. Rick, please.
And you can find me on all social media at Rick Hong and HollywoodFirstLook.com. You'll get to see more extensive interviews and everything covering film and TV.
Awesome. And as I said at the top, you can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram, my own YouTube channel /outlet, youtube.com/John Rocha Says. It's the Outlaw Nation. I like to just speak my mind, speak my piece. So I created the Outlaw Nation to be able to do that. So come and patronize that. Also got the Geek Buddies, the Top 10, and the Cinephiles for podcasts that I do. We just dropped our first episode of diving into The Last Picture Show in honor of the passing of Peter Bogdanovich. It's out there right now for y'all to listen to as well. But we will keep going with this After Party After Show going forward. We'll be joined by a 4th as well as we go along, maybe a rotating 4th or a permanent 4th. We'll see. But let us know what you thought of everything down there, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new after show episode for the After Party here on the Hollywood Critics Association. Y'all take care until then. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.